I'm Amy Goodman. It is Iowa Caucus Day. Tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, people will be going to the polls in Iowa to discuss and debate their choices. I want to turn to a clip of Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton at the Iowa Brown and Black Presidential Forum last month. She was asked how her administration would prove that Black lives matter.
I've met, as you probably know, with a very dynamic group of young Black Lives Matter activists, and have heard directly from them. And there's a broad agenda that we've got to address. Let's start with the most contentious issues: criminal justice reform, policing reform, incarceration reform. And I believe strongly that this has to be the highest priority of the president. President Obama's policing commission has some very good suggestions that I would want to build on. But we have to do everything possible in reaching out and listening directly to communities that are being affected, whose trust has been betrayed and broken, whose families are desolated by the large numbers of missing men in the communities. And I have a very specific set of recommendations about what I would do. When it comes to arrest, we've got to have a much clearer set of standards, because African-American men and Latino men in particular get arrested more quickly for doing the same thing as a white man does. And then it continues through the process. More likely to be charged, more likely to be convicted, more likely to be incarcerated. And the figures don't lie.
And this is Hillary Clinton at the Black and Brown Forum when one of the audience members asked her about what white privilege meant to her.
It is hard when you're swimming in the ocean to know exactly what's happening around you so much as it is when you're standing on the shore, perhaps watching. For me, look, I was born white, middle class, in the middle of America. I went to good public schools. I had a very strong, supportive family. I had a lot of great experiences growing up. I went to a wonderful college. I went to law school. I never really knew what was or wasn't part of the privilege. I just knew that I was a lucky person, and that being lucky was in part related to who I am, where I'm from, and the opportunities I had.
That was Hillary Clinton at the Black and Brown Forum of Wayne Ford, who co-founded it. He's in Des Moines right now. The significance of what Hillary Clinton said, Wayne Ford.
Amy, it meant so much to me. First, I want to acknowledge my co-chair, Murray Campos, who is the co-chair of the Latino component to the Brown and Black. And I want to thank Fusion TV for doing a wonderful job. When she talked about white privilege, I was watching the audience. I mean, it was our show. And everybody got quiet, because to ask a white person how they feel about white privilege coming from a Latino, the way she answered that, I mean, I watched Hillary grow toward how she delivers, how she deals with her crowd. As you and I both know, Black Lives Matter. Early in the session, there was a little confrontation. But Hillary has learned along this journey to work with people. And that question, she was very calm about it. So besides that and criminal justice, when she talked about those two issues, that's when I decided to put my support behind Hillary.
I wanted to ask you about a quote of Michelle Alexander, who just posted this on Facebook this week, the author of The New Jim Crow, Mass Incarceration in the Age of Colorblindness. She said, if anyone doubts the mainstream media fails to tell the truth about our political system and its true winners and losers, the spectacle of large majorities of black folks supporting Hillary Clinton in the primary races ought to be proof enough. She said, I can't believe Hillary would be coasting into the primaries with her current margin of black support if most people knew how much damage the Clintons have done. The millions of families destroyed the last time they were in the White House, thanks to their boastful embrace of the mass incarceration machine and their total capitulation to the right-wing narrative on race, crime, welfare, and taxes. And she goes on from there. Your thoughts on this, Wayne Ford?
People have a right to say what they want. I'm from Washington, D.C. I'm well aware of the criminal justice system, the crack cocaine problem that was in my community, the gangs, the killings in the street. Black leaders went to Congress and asked them, we need help. We need help. President Clinton was president at that time. They put the package together. Some of that package was supported by black leaders in my hometown of Washington, D.C. But let's talk about timing. FDR was the right president at the right time. President Obama was the right president at the right time. With all the issues we got challenging America now, we need someone with experience. My support goes behind Hillary Clinton.
Bernie Sanders held a rally in Manchester in eastern Iowa Saturday in one of his many tour bus stops around the state.
Are we a poor nation? No, we're not a poor nation. We are the richest nation in the history of the world. But the vast majority of the American people don't know that because they're working too hard and they're struggling too hard to keep their heads above water economically, while almost all of the new income and wealth is going to the top 1%. Why? Why do we allow that to happen? Why do we accept that? That is what this campaign is about. And it is saying that the status quo is simply not acceptable. We are going to make fundamental changes in our economy and in our political life.
That was Bernie Sanders in Manchester, Iowa. Ed Fallon, talk about both what he said here, continually addressing this issue of inequality, as well as why you feel Hillary Clinton does not address this in that way.
Well, Sanders is right on so many issues to me. I mean, he's nailing all the top issues. He understands the urgency of climate change. He understands the importance of fighting against income inequality, and he understands the importance of getting money out of politics. That's a huge concern for a lot of people, is the big money that Hillary Clinton has taken and continues to take in her campaign, her very cozy relationship with Wall Street. And we need somebody who's going to fight Wall Street, not go along with it. And unfortunately, that's what's been happening. Even the reforms that happened after the last crash, those aren't doing anything for the average person. So, you know, we really have to look at who has been the fighter for rank-and-file Americans all along. I mean, Secretary Clinton, as much as I might respect her, she has changed her positions conveniently all the time. I mean, the things we hear her saying now during the campaign, I do not think she'd be saying anything about opposing the Keystone Pipeline, for example, or calling herself a progressive, or all these other things she's talking about. I think that's happening because you've got Senator Sanders pushing her in that direction. And it's a direction, again, that, you know, experience is great, but if your experience also means you make the wrong decision a lot of times, like on the Iraq War, again on Keystone, on Glass-Steagall, I mean, you know, Sanders is for the movement to get the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Senator Clinton is not. And I can't think of a better program to help lift people out of poverty than a minimum wage that is actually a livable wage. And that's a huge distinction right there.
Let me ask each of you, since you came out only recently in endorsing your candidates, Wayne Ford, was it a tough decision for you? Could you support Bernie Sanders?
Last time I was in this situation, I supported President Obama. And before that, I supported, I mean, I can go back, go from Mondale, Jimmy Carter. I've been doing this for a very long time. I've always waited to make the right decision. But let me be candid. Whoever the nominee is, I'm a Democrat. I would support the nominee. But as of right now, my thought pattern was I would make my decision once I look at the Brown and Black Forum. I had a front row seat. I watched faces. I watched the emotion. I've been doing this since 1984. So it's kind of hard to fool me. And each time I've done this, I've chose the person who I thought meant that much to me to make America more safer. And I think President Clinton would be the person that can do that.
And Ed Fallon, would you support Hillary Clinton if she were the candidate?
Well, I would, but I can't promise that all of Bernie Sanders' supporters would. See, that's a big concern that I have. I mean, if you look at the polling itself against Trump, Cruz, or other Republican nominee possibilities, Clinton does not do as well as Sanders. Sanders beats them by greater margins. And I think part of that is there's a lot of folks who are coming into Bernie Sanders' campaign who are new to this, who have never felt empowered by a candidate before. Finally, somebody who is speaking their language. I mean, here's a guy who's in his early 70s speaking to young people. Young people are rallying behind Sanders by a huge margin here in Iowa. And I think some of them are going to feel discouraged and probably not want to vote. And that would hurt Senator Clinton's chances in the general election. So, you know, I will certainly support her, but I can't say that all the Sanders supporters will.
And Fallon, can you talk about those who are saying they're deciding between not Clinton and Sanders, but Trump and Sanders?
Yeah, I understand that because Donald Trump, for all his insanity, is is pegging himself as outside the establishment, which is actually remarkable because I can't think of a more establishment candidate than Donald Trump. But he is appealing to some of the same status quo sentiment that Bernie Sanders is raking in. And I think the more people see and hear of Trump, the less likely they are to continue to support that. But with Sanders, it's sincere, it's long held. I mean, his consistency throughout the decades is incredible. And with Trump, again, like Clinton, you see positions being taken, statements being made that are fairly new to that person's rhetoric. And I think at some point the majority of people are going to start getting tired of that. Again, especially with Trump. I mean, I don't want to compare Trump with Clinton to any great extent because obviously she's got a much more encouraging track record than Trump. But I think people are going to get tired of that really soon. I don't know how far he's going to get. What happens tonight is going to be fascinating to watch. But I think at some point that support he has is going to be seen as just very, very shallow.
Wayne Ford, can you talk about the Trump phenomenon that's surprised Trump himself, who said recently that he could go out and shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and still win?
Amy, let me talk about that statement. Young people come to me all the time. My nonprofit Urban Dream is 30 years old. I've had so many young black people come to me and said, Wayne, if we made that statement, they'll put us in jail. That's what I'm kind of talking about. Now, America has to make a decision. Millennials, I got that. I know Bernie's doing well with college campuses and all that. But let me be candid. Here's what I'm hearing. Here in Iowa, since we're the first people going to call this, I've heard more millennials who got in contact with me and said they're going to support Hillary because she has the experience and she has the season. Some of these people can't even pay rent. They living with their parents. Now, bottom line is, in their generation, they were told it's going to live less than us baby boomers. That's going to make less money than us baby boomers. I got young people saying, if I walk around and say I was going to kill somebody, I'll be put in jail. America must make a decision. We need somebody serious, and that's why I'm so excited. I'm so excited to support Hillary. Just on the question you just asked, we need to start getting real. My son said, Daddy, I'm not going to live long as you. That bothers me.
And the issue of the evangelical vote, talk about how significant it is. Is the evangelical population actually decreasing in Iowa? And what are the concerns of evangelicals?
Did you want to hear from me on that?
You talk to Amy.
Well, Ed Fallon.
Okay, it's hard to say. I mean, the evangelical wing of the Republican Party has been very effective at choosing a candidate that represents that position. I mean, we had Santorum last time and Huckabee the time before, but I think that wing of the party, Republican Party, tends to get really tired really fast. If you don't win the first time, you're out. I mean, Santorum and Huckabee are polling at 2% here. Cruz is the new, I think, candidate of the day for that wing of the party, but about 40% of Iowa Democrats caucus, about 20% of Iowa Republicans caucus. So we have twice as much participation. If more, mainstream type Republicans were to participate, that element of the Republican Party would probably be a lot less influential. What's going to happen tonight? It's hard to say. I mean, it very well could be a Cruz victory, given the fact that evangelicals tend to be rallying behind him. But I do think, to the real crux of your question, I do think overall we're beginning to see a little bit of erosion of the centrality of that element within the Republican Party.
And that issue of the big storm coming in and how much, how important, Wayne Ford, voter turnout is and how you maximize it?
Well, good question, Amy. But I've been doing this. My first presidential forum was in 1976 when Jimmy Carter, Birch Bayh, and Sergeant Shriver sent their surrogates to the inner city. I was a young kid out of Drake University. It was a storm back then. When Vice President Biden ran, he took a private plane to get to my event. Mondale missed it because of a storm, but he got a plane and came in later. Whether it's storms or not, we lead the country. We're number one, and I think Iowans would do their due diligence. I mean, we would do it. That's not the first storm. I mean, I see the weather getting just much as attention as these presidential candidates. Let me be clear. I've been following this since 1976. We have the oldest process, the best process, and storm is not going to stop us. We will support, and we will be out there tonight, and I'm just excited to be involved.
We're going to break and bring on some new guests in Des Moines. I want to thank Wayne Ford, co-founder of the Iowa Brown and Black Forum, former state legislator. Ed Fallon, also radio host, who served in the Iowa General Assembly. Ed endorsed Bernie Sanders, and Wayne Ford endorsed Hillary Clinton. This is Democracy Now! Yes, today is the first of the presidential nominating contests, and it's in Iowa. We're talking to folks in Des Moines.